Good morning, everyone. King Magic Smoke here from Cali Kings in Clash of Clans. So this morning, I thought, why not just play some Clash, but also make a tutorial for some of the players out there. So I think you're going to find this pretty helpful. A little bit about me. I never really had somebody to teach me how to play Clash of Clans. The first time I downloaded it, it was pretty overwhelming. I didn't know how to do certain things. It can be a little bit intimidating at first to new players just because there's so much going on. You got the builder village, and then you got the home village, and then how to train troops. So I made this video to not only kind of show you some basic concepts that I do, but also give you 10 really good tips of advice on how to take your win percentage from here to here. And when you start winning more, you start earning more loot, more elixir, more trophies, if that's what you like. Me, I love to push for trophies. My all-time best was in Legend League at 5,011, I believe. And I'll discuss that in a different video. But let's get into the tutorial. So the first point is use the best troops that you have in your barracks. And there's also a caveat to that, use your favorite troops. So for me, I love to do aerial attacks, specifically with the Electro Dragon and the regular dragons, complemented with the Rage spell. So that's what I like to use, and those also happen to be my highest level troops, which are max level. The reason I say favorite troops is because you want to have fun when you attack, right? You want to know what the troop benefits are and what their weaknesses are, strengths and weaknesses. So make sure to use that. If you are really good with a troop, a specific loadout of troop, stick to that. Don't deviate from the plan. Myself, I'm not very good at using archers, so I have no business using archers in my attacks. So that's tip number one. That leads me into tip number 2. Consider using a stylus. So these are 2 different styluses. I found this one in my garage when I was cleaning out my toolbox. And then this one I got at a local store for like $4. So the reason why I advocate trying a stylus and see how you like it is because when you're doing your attacks, it's a lot easier to pinpoint on the map, and increased accuracy of deployment of troops will definitely help get them to where you want them to go. Now, I know that's kind of difficult in Clash because, well, let's be honest, when you deploy troops, you can't direct them very much. It's like the Wild Wild West. They're just going to go wherever they want to go to the nearest target or whichever target's firing at that point. So it's also a really good way to keep your screen clean and, you know, without smudges and stuff. So try a stylus out and see if you like it. Okay, so tip number 3 is a very important one in my opinion. The tip is to use a device that is comfortable for you to use. So most of you might see from my videos, I play on a tablet. This one specifically, the iPad Pro, but that's not always practical. I'm not saying go out and buy an iPad Pro. Don't do that. I use the iPad for other stuff, work things. But this is also an affordable option. It's the Amazon Fire. I actually picked this up because it was on sale. So I'm excited to get to use it on some other accounts. And I find it kind of funny how like the little Clash of Clans logo is in there. So this is also a really good alternative. I started playing Clash of Clans on my iPhone. So, and I still play it on my iPhone when I'm not at home. So look into maybe seeing if you can play it on a tablet and share your feedback if it works for you. Okay, that leads me into tip number 4, which is to when you're deploying troops, deploy your highest hit point troops in first, specifically like a siege machine if you have that in your arsenal, or giants or golems, lava hounds, you know, the list goes on and on. But deploy your highest level troops first so they can clear the path for your other troops, troops that deal a lot of splash damage, archers, you know, what have you. You want to protect those guys as much as possible by having a meat shield in front of them, so that way they don't just get completely wiped out and your attack goes haywire. So sometimes I see attacks where somebody will deploy, like for instance, regular little troops, and then they put the siege machine in afterwards, which doesn't really make much sense to me. Just given that I've played Clash for a while now and I know what works and what doesn't work. So definitely use that strategy and it will help minimize your troop loss in the process. Okay, tip number 5. This is a very important one that sometimes gets overlooked, but never attack when you are distracted. So what do I mean by that? Well, sometimes when I'm attacking, I get a text message or, you know, somebody's calling out something, or what tends to happen is if I get distracted, I'm not focused on the task at hand, which is to attack the enemy base. And usually it doesn't end so well. It will be an unsuccessful attack. So make sure that when you're attacking, you know, devote all your time and focus into accomplishing that mission of destroying that base, getting that loot, elixir, and star. Tip number 6 is have a plan. This is probably should be first on my list to talk about, but it's number 6. What else? Have a plan. So make sure that you know what you're going to do, because if you don't, then, you know, the attack could go south and you'll get a loss. So have a plan going into it on what you're going to do, who you're going to deploy, where they're going to go, what they're going to do, if they have spells to help with increasing their attacking ability. Going into a battle without a plan isn't the best option ever. So definitely make sure you have a plan. Okay, tip number 7, have a freeze spell handy. I usually keep about 1 or 2. You at least want to have 1. Now, you may ask why. The biggest reason in my experience to have a really good freeze spell in your arsenal is to deal with the Inferno Towers, Eagle Artillery, and any enemy troops that come out of the clan castle, because there will be some troops that come out of the clan castle eventually. So you want to have the ability to freeze certain defenses, mainly the Eagle Artillery and the Inferno Towers. Reason being is because the Inferno Towers, as they start progressing in their I guess attack, the damage starts compounding. So it'll whittle down your high level troops pretty quickly. So you want to have that freeze spell there so you can reset it and your troops will most likely survive that Inferno Tower. The other thing, like I mentioned, is the clan castle. So, or even some of those skeleton traps that come out and do damage. So be prepared for those guys. Freeze spell will allow you to kind of neutralize them for a little bit and have your troops attack them and hopefully destroy them. Okay, tip number 8, which also should be in the top of my list, is scout the base for vulnerabilities, weaknesses. Now, what I mean by that is you want to search for buildings that are defenseless, that are inactive or under construction, and they're positioned in a way that you can destroy them really quickly, or you can avoid them entirely. So some practical application for that for me is I like to use the E-Dragons and flying troops in general. So what I'll do is I'll scout the base and I'll observe like where the air sweepers are positioned and the Eagle artillery, because with the air sweepers I want to not get caught in their blast. If my troops get caught in their blast, then my attack is pretty much doomed to fail, because they're just going to keep getting caught in that attack, and the other defenses are going to whittle them down. So I like to avoid them, and as well as with the Eagle artillery, I like to try to take that out as soon as I can, because if I don't take it out, then it's going to just keep bombarding my troops with artillery shots, and that's going to definitely take them out sooner than I would like. So a big one, tailor that to you, the way you attack. So see in the base where you can destroy buildings that aren't doing anything. If there's a cluster of buildings, that's free percentage points, if you will. So try that strategy out and put it at the top of your list. Okay, tip number 9 is in regards to troop displacement, or I guess troop deployment. That's a better term, deployment. So this tip only applies to bases that have an Eagle artillery defense that is active. If it doesn't have an Eagle artillery defense, then you're good. You don't have to use this strategy. But the reason why I suggest deploying troops in small spurts is because if the base has an Eagle artillery, it'll only start activating and firing when a certain amount of troops are deployed. So if you drop all your troops, you better believe it that it's going to start firing off. But if you deploy them in small increments, the Eagle artillery will not be shooting off. So that's a really good tip for you to consider if you like to just gung-ho and deploy troops. Usually I do that, but you know, definitely try it out and be mindful of that Eagle artillery. And the last and final tip, tip number 10, is try to avoid using all ground troops. Now, the reason why I say that is because if you have all ground troops, then if for some reason there is some, either like a skeleton trap or a air-seeking mine or a clan castle that has all air troops and you have all ground troops, they're not going to be able to defend themselves. So that's the reason why I recommend having like a few troops that can target air enemies, just on that fact, because, and I'll specify that with the troops that attack air enemies, I highly recommend having them a splash damage troop, like a witch or a wizard. Those two are really good to have as some defenders in your troops, because you want them to be able to take those air defenses, air troops out of commission. Otherwise, your ground troops are just going to be sitting ducks, and you don't want that. So that is the last tip, and I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Hope it clarified a lot of things for you. If you have any suggestions on other tutorials that you want me to do, I will just definitely drop them out in the comments. Make sure you have some of your friends subscribe to the channel if they love Clash. You know, that'd be cool too. And I'm actually going to show you a replay here of one of the victories that I did, where you can kind of see some of the principles that I talked about in the video in application during an attack. So go ahead and enjoy that, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Ooh.